This is a message from your guides reading for Human Angel. All right, so I have 3 crystals here. I'm going to go ahead and surround us in some protective space with my citrine. Okay, so I'll show you these other 2 really quickly. So I've got my rose quartz here, and then I have this Mookaite jasper here. And my citrine, obviously, that I just showed you. This Mookaite is actually, this is for everybody this week. All of my Patreon group that are getting a reading this week. But that definitely has to do with grounding. So, right away, one thing that's pretty present with your aura, it feels like your guides are a lot closer to your aura right now. It feels like there's definitely some, like a major kind of clearing that's happening right now, where it feels like they're really attacking something. They're attempting to almost allow something to process so that it can clear. And it feels like it's something kind of big. It feels like something kind of deep and kind of big. It almost feels kind of overwhelming in a sense. I don't really know how else to say that. So it almost feels like kind of messy in a sense, because there's this energy of your guides really close, but then there's also this energy of something that's kind of like I'm doing this dancey thing, but kind of almost like bubbling up, I want to say, or like, I don't know, kind of rearing its ugly head in a way is what it kind of feels like. I get the sense of. And it feels like that's been happening for a little while, or like they were kind of preparing for that. So it feels like they cleared a lot. But then it's like there's all that space there. And I almost feel like they kind of took advantage of that space being there, and versus just sealing it with a lot of light, which is what they would normally want to do, sealing it with like a very like to protect that space so nothing else comes up there. I almost feel like in this case they wanted something else to be there, not to actually take over that space, but to almost just pass through it. It's like they've cleared this, almost like if you were to clear a street of cars and now the ambulance can come through, or the cops, or whatever. It feels like they've cleared this space and now they can take out this really giant, deep thought form, which definitely feels like an identity level thought form. It feels like it could just go off on its own, and just go be an entity. It feels like it doesn't really need your energy anymore, but I don't even think it really is aware of that yet. It's not choosing to, it's like it has to choose to not take advantage of your energy in order to consciously understand that it doesn't really need it anymore. So it's just stuck in this sort of method that it has of gaining energy, which is getting it from you. But it definitely feels very negative. So this is something that your guides are taking out. And it feels like it has something to do with your mom. This comes up so often. Like, I think even since one of your very first readings, this topic was coming up. This definitely feels like some kind of almost like an abandonment, um, which it feels like has almost brought up a lot of other issues that are there as well, a lot of other emotional things. And I feel like that's why it's so big, because it feels like you have this one thing, this one almost programming, but it feels like it can cause so many other things that this thought form was able to then expand into. Now I can have this thought, and that supports this core belief in a sense that I'm made up of, and I can have this thought too, and this one, and this one, and this one. And so it's been able to really grow and expand by just being able to easily generate more thoughts and just be more versatile in a sense with what it could think about. Because it just feels like there are so many issues that could come out of this one thing. But it feels like its core has to do with fear and especially abandonment. Abandonment. So this is something that they are taking out. It feels like it's going to take a little time, but it doesn't even feel like it'll take too much time. Um, and this has already been happening, it feels like, for, I don't know, maybe a few days or so. It kind of feels like when they started doing this. So it doesn't even feel like, it doesn't even feel like it's been like that long. Feels like less than a week, I would say. So definitely no more than a week. But it actually feels like less than that they've been working on this specific thing that they've been taking out. So, and then I know you mentioned something about what they were saying last week about how they were clearing all this stuff, and you were saying, oh, okay, I thought I was regressing because I was feeling all of this crap. And you were saying maybe it gets worse before it gets better, but that's the thing, is sometimes when you are clearing all this stuff, it's like it has to kind of bubble up to the surface and you notice it. And so then it might feel like, oh, I'm not clearing anything um, because I'm feeling all this junk, but it's actually like you're feeling all this junk as it's coming up. It's almost like a pimple. It's like um, all this stuff is there, and it comes up to the surface and you can see it, um, but that that was already in there. It was there, and you weren't necessarily feeling it, and now you're feeling it because it's coming up to the surface where now you can remove it. And yeah, that's true as well. Your guides are also pointing out that also a lot of times, especially when you're getting rid of like more advanced thought forms that are just more conscious, they're more aware of themselves, then as they know that they're having to leave, and oh my God, we're not going to have this energy source anymore, and what the heck are we going to do? And most likely, if they're not so advanced, they're just going to end up dissipating, which you want them to do since they are pretty negative and they're kind of in this negative cycle that they normally, nearly always, really just can't get out of. So it's better for them really to just dissipate. but they're also, if they're more aware, they're going to be panicking as well. Like, what are they going to do? How are they going to get energy now? There's always this thing automatically, this fear of survival that that comes up. That's like fear. Fear is pretty much the first negative emotion, really. It's the negative emotion that starts all of the others, that triggers all the others. So there's this fear of lack, this fear of they're going to lose everything, they're going to lose their consciousness, they're not going to survive, they don't know how they're going to do this or that. So that's also there as well, this panicky thing with thought forms. So I feel like this other question as well, I feel like they're going to get into it a little bit more next week, especially since our time is kind of coming up. This question about what do you do when you wake up and you're just feeling all this stuff. But I feel like part of it, one just quick pointer I feel like they want to give is part of it is to just realize firstly that you're not the one feeling it, and that can help you kind of pull out of it and look at it from another angle and kind of regroup, because you're not identifying with it, and identifying with it is what is going to feed whatever it is that is actually feeling that and giving that emotion to you. Okay, so that is the end of this week's message. So thank you very much for allowing me to connect to your guides. I hope that this benefits you, and I will see you next week for the next one. Namaste.